everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today we're going to be doing some more RTN testing. So I pretty much am definitively locked in on Marlynn, at least for the first couple RTNs, so we're going to keep sticking with our girl. Again, I think last ProQuest season or whatever it was, I think we basically got like 4 top 8s or something, so I'm pretty sure we can do kind of like a similar run, at least with the Road to National events. But yeah, going to be basically playing a very, very similar deck to what I brought to the Calling Seattle. Again, we're kind of tweaking some ratios here, just kind of like making room for a bunch of cards. Again, nothing super revolutionary here. You might notice that I'm off of the Lace with Bloodrots over the Codex of Bloodrots, and I think I do kind of miss having Codex of Bloodrot. Again, the theory was that like the Ponder tokens end up being like a bit redundant, but like that being said, like it's kind of wild how often you like will brick off a Ponder token in Marlin. So having like 2 Ponder tokens is often like kind of like a guarantee that you're always able to get something that's playable in Arsenal, which is nice. But again, I think this is still just like a really good consistency piece, even though it does like kind of lower your ceiling. But again, I'm still kind of on the Murderous Rivals as well, so it kind of like makes up for the Lace with Bloodrot slot. So we have like still kind of like 17-ish buffs. And then I've also kind of started to like treat a lot of like the kind of like cantrip or cards as kind of like buffs as well. So like we saw like Portside C4 Salvage. So you can really consider the buffs to be like a little bit higher than like the 17 or whatever. You can maybe consider it to be like 17 plus 11, so like 28 kind of buffs in the deck, or 28 beneficial things to do if you like crack a gold and like draw a random extra card, basically, which is kind of what you want to think about basically. But yeah, still kind of rocking with this deck. We're running the Quiver of Abyssal Swag, basically. It's kind of just funny to use this as just like a filtering tool more than anything, that doesn't put like a random blue arrow in your arsenal. So like often I'll like crack this against like aggro heroes like going second, and they like tap out of action points, and I'll just like filter 2, pass, and then draw like a fresh set of cards. So it's actually like kind of a like all the quivers are currently terrible, but this is actually like kind of like the most funny terrible one, which is kind of hilarious. And then yeah, the sideboard is mostly the same. Again, we're still doing the same gravy plan. Nothing super revolutionary here. I think Syndra is still like a reasonable threat, so I still want the hamstring shot in. But yeah, I think like Syndra is kind of on the decline, at least. It seems like KO and Dio have kind of like usurped her a little bit, which is probably for the best, but it does mean that like Gravy goes out of control, and maybe also like some of the other kind of like decks that Syndra kind of kept down also get a lot of equity out of that. But yeah, we're just gonna run it as is. We're gonna play it. Again, no super like revolutionary tech or anything. We're just kind of playing these kind of stock standard lists and just getting some good reps on it. You also might have noticed we got like a new overlay thing, which I made for like 2 hours before the last stream. But I think it actually ended up looking like pretty cool. Like we got little clouds in the background. We've also got our Fab Foundry ad, so you can use our promo code Flesh and Bad for 5% off your next single order. And then, so I guess I don't have to say that. We're just gonna have that ad in the top of the screen from now on, just so that people can view it, and you don't have to like skip around in the video or like listen to me like rant about Fab Foundry for however long. But yeah, I think the overlay is gonna be really cool. We also got like a different screen for like the actual like gameplay and stuff. But yeah, hope you all enjoy, and let's go ahead and get into the games. All right, playing against a Puffin. For some reason, this matchup has gotten like a lot scarier for some reason. I don't even know really why. But I think this is just like the main deck. I don't even really think a tie is worth in this matchup. Just kind of running as is. All right, so let me go to the other overlay. Oh, cool, perfect. All right, got that to work. I just need to remember to do this. But yeah, this is the new overlay that I made like right before the stream yesterday, which is pretty cool. Might be using Quiver for filtering here if they're just gonna pass, which I think I'm game for. What do we actually want to get rid of? I feel like Codex of Bloodrot's actually like fairly reasonable. So maybe just get rid of like a blue and a take game. I might just find another like either 2 blues or like a red harpoon and a blue. This works. We can go ahead and Murderous Rabble, reveal the top card of our deck. Or actually, we probably don't even want to do that. We probably just want to go for the Blood Rot, right? Blood Rot. We set up a Ponder, and then we pitch the Murderous Rabble here. Seems good. All right, Codex of Frailty for next turn. It's not bad. Now we can go ahead and just fire this. Yep, seems fine. And then no hook, because they have plenty of armor. Yeah, I hope you all like the new overlay. It's pretty simple. Like, kind of just wanted to make the card on screen a little bit bigger, just so like newer folks can kind of see the cards easier. I also wanted to like cut out some of like the Talishar UI. It's like they got Crown, so they're gonna give us the full fridge here, which is at least nice. So what kind of Puffin is this? The blue sky skimmer almost indicates to me that they're more pummel Puffin oriented. I feel like I normally see a lot more like boost Puffin around lately, but it's entirely possible that the pummel Puffin is back in season. I think the pummel Puffin's like marginally worse for us for what it's worth. You're gonna give us the yellow zipper hit. Hold on to the blue sky skimmer. Maybe they're just gonna like play or something. And they did bottom a card. But it's nice at least we have a codex loaded up for next turn. So even if we don't find anything like super massive, we at least have a bluefin or lion. Although that being said, the king shark is an upgrade here. You can potentially even like block 6, then 10, something like that. One awkward thing about trophy shot here is that since we're on like a low goal count, like fixing the resources gets a little bit more challenging. But let's go ahead and just take the damage here off the Fast and Furious and then plan to block 6 at some later point in the turn. Right, Cogwork Zeppelin is definitely a bit scarier. So we could actually just go ahead and give up the Sea Lace here, which I think is reasonable. Both kind of trading armor here. But we would keep them off a Golden Cog. I think has merit, and we also are basically soaking up, what is this, functionally 4 damage, something like that. I think that's probably worth. We do get our Sea Lace, but Sea Lace is not like a very, very important card. It's kind of wild how often I actually block with Sea Lace. I feel like it's fairly regular. And then question is, do we want to hook? So they have 3 armor here, plus another card, plus maybe a deer. We don't actually know if they're on like more of like the I guess they are definitely on the boost thing. As indicated by the boost cards. But they do still have like blocks and stuff. I think like what they could have here. They could have like that Pinion Sentry. I think I'm not gonna risk the hook here. Because if we connect with this, we probably like are doing pretty well anyways. I think we'll start getting a little bit more aggressive once we get our block value on the hook. I think that it's not categorically wrong to go for hook here, though. I just don't really know enough about, I guess, Puffin deck building to know whether or not that's like completely safe or not. All right, so we have the Dovetail, we got some boost cards, and we got Soup Up. I feel like the Dovetail is probably the standout card here. We also don't know if they have like another outlet for the cogs necessarily. I think I'm just going to snag that and arsenal this Redfin here. Right, so do they have another way to generate a cog token? This is the question. Maybe that was just a powerful flex of just cranking the Polycranker for no reason. You can't like untap it, right? No. You have to have like some other way to crank here. So they have that throttle in hand. They also have the blue Soup Up. I'm kind of curious what they do, or I guess it kind of depends on what this arsenal is. Right, just going for the Soup Up. It's not up going yet because they didn't sack a cog. All right, so they are going to go for the throttle, looks like, instead. Yeah, it's kind of awkward here. Like, if we did actually hold on to the Sarong, this Redfin Harpoon probably gets like a little bit, like we could probably do like Redfin into King Kraken Overpower somehow using gold. But I think now we're just gonna probably take the 3 value off the King Kraken. Seems worth. Kind of, they could still like punish us with this arsenal, but not entirely sure what it is yet. And then not really a ton of on hits in Puffin, I guess, other than like the cog stuff, which is not really like disruptive. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just cash in this, although I don't actually know if we still even go for it next turn. Because sending 8 is also like pretty rough. So I guess we probably actually have another turn. We want to just wait. I think that's reasonable. So go ahead and just keep cycling here. Right, pre-med, I think it's a good arsenal, and then we'll bottom the port side, I think, for later. I want to just try to find the like 3 Oaks or King Sharks, like, are better cards a little bit faster. Fortunately, it's always nice though. I always kind of feel bad banning it because it is just like a free kind of reroll draw, but it does eat into your like harpoon, right? And let's see if we can snag another red here. Maybe they had a different red they wanted to give us or something. A different card. They do want to give us the Tinkerings here. Maybe just set up another cog for next turn. I think it makes sense given that these two are going away. All right, no red, which is fine. And then we got the Zeppelin, Soup Up, and Cogworks Workshop. The funny thing about Polycrinka a lot of the time, by the way, like I played this matchup like a handful of times, and a lot of the time after the first Polycrinka activation, like they already have so much cog generation that it doesn't really matter the second time, right? So it feels like to me, like this already makes two cogs, right? Or it functionally like I guess it doesn't make a or this only makes one cog, right? And then I guess they bounce. So I guess it does actually matter here. I always think this card just like makes two cogs. Maybe this would be just not knowing what Puffin cards do. But a lot of time, I guess what I'm trying to say is like a lot of time that like Polycrinka is not as big a threat as it really seems like. I don't think it's worth like sending like four to Polycrinka. Kind of just like let it be on the board however long, unless you find like a Tipple or something fairly easily. That banishing the Palantir is actually quite nice here. Just as a card we're like mildly afraid of. All right, so they can only have like a 0 cost or something left in Arsenal, so I guess we're going to just go ahead and give the hook here. They are going to be able to Spitfire here, but I want to keep this full hand because the hand's pretty good. And then having an extra cog here I don't think matters a ton. So best draws off the top are Codex, Brioke, Blue's not bad. Lots of good draws next turn. Oh, backspin thrust is the Arsenal. Okay, so they get to go like 5 into 3 here. That's pretty good. So pretty aggro, but we are still keeping them pretty disruptive, hopefully, with the red fin harpoon here. So we dropped to 13 here. We still have 1 point armor, so we're kind of at functionally 14. Let's try to get a bit aggressive here. I'm hoping that this red fin actually resolves, but if I can find a better arrow, I probably will send something else. Oh, 3 oak is nasty there. So in this case, we want to hold the red fin, right? So no load. I think we just go for the lone shark, take game, and rip the 3 oak. King Kraken is probably still. Actually, I'm almost wondering if sending bluefin here is like more relevant. How many non-attacks is Puffin realistic? I mean, they do have like a lot of non-attacks, especially like cogs that are they can't like easily block with. This is actually kind of like an interesting decision point because I feel like if we actually choose wrong here, we might end up dying. 3 very reasonable choices here. I think. Why is my gut telling me to send the bluefin here? I think I'm gonna. It's so close. No, I'm just gonna send the Kraken. I think I'm probably overthinking. If we whiff on the Kraken here and they just reveal like a bunch of attack actions, I think it's gonna feel really bad. I wonder like what on average you're actually supposed to send there. I feel like bigger number is just more better, right? A lot of the time. But we don't actually connect here and they're able to send like 4 card hand. Yeah, pretty scary. See what they got. All right. Fortunately, they did have some non-attacks here, so maybe the non-attack was still worth it. What do we even take here? Probably still the Kaga machine just so they don't have the additional action points. Does that make sense? Could take the blue. They're going to be drawing this no matter what, or they're going to be like drawing an extra card this turn no matter what. So in that case, I actually don't know what the best play is here. Maybe it's still Kaga machine just to like reduce the hero potential or something. I don't know. I don't even know really what a Puffin Hyrule looks like. This hand's probably sufficient even through a card Puffin hand. Yeah, at worst we can like block 3 here, send 13, and I don't think they can even block on that. If we actually looked at their last hand, their hand was 2 reds, 2 blues, and a Kraken. So maybe, or and 2 non-attacks, right? So I guess the real answer was it didn't really matter there. Kind of funny. Right, it was 3 non-attacks, right? So let the zipper hit resolve. And they still have that throttle, so they're sending 11 here plus another 3 on the back. So we'll have to give them a card here, but that's fine. How much gold? We're sending out 5 gold. We could get a little bit greedy here. Get greedy so that we can try to like play the catch of the day, I think is maybe relevant. Might as well use it while we got it, right? I think that makes sense. Just in case they draw into what's that card called? The Sky Warden or some other thing that can maybe block a little bit extra. So there is definitely a bit of risk here, but we're still going to go for it, I think. Right, so now I don't think there's any risk, right? We can just safely crack Tunic, and there's basically no bad draw. Okay, I guess that was kind of like a mid draw, I guess. All right, so this works now. Now I get to go catch the day, play the King Shark, and hopefully kill him here. So yeah, it's kind of interesting there, like the harpoon choice. I guess all of them being correct is kind of funny, but like, wonder on average, like what that actually looks like from their side, like what they're like least excited to see. All right, so this should just be death, unless they have some really good blocks in here. But they do have soup up, so they can galvanize it, I guess. But I still don't think that really does it. So they had Cogworks, Zeppelin, and then Upper Cog. Let's actually see what the rest of it is. So looks like we got kind of like a boost Puffin here. Unfortunately for them, it feels like they really didn't see their Palantirs. I guess they boosted away their Palantirs, which is maybe a little bit unfortunate. Seems like pretty stock standard boost Puffin. Nothing like super notable here. They did have like the Pinion Sentries, which I guess you have to be a little bit careful of. But like other than that, it seemed like for the most part pretty straightforward. All right, let's see if we can go ahead and get another. All right, we get some good Marionette practice, hopefully. This deck. Okay, so funny off-stream story. I'm actually all right. This is something you maybe don't want to do on like actual paper, but I've started actually running Kraken plus Shark into like Talishar Marios just because like I'm sick of whiffing. One funny thing is actually that I was playing against a Mario like earlier in the week, and basically they went like something crazy, like basically forget exactly what the line was. Let me actually switch. The line was something like they uh did like Codex Evolution on turn 1. They put a Sunken Treasure in my arsenal, and they got a Kiss of Death off the top, and I basically like lost the game on the spot, which is rough. The Codex doesn't really do much here. We could actually just like make a gold, which is kind of funny, but I don't know if that's actually worth it. Could just send Sleep Dart for 7 Arsenal Codex, which is also fairly lackluster. Yeah. Like me, the best play is just like pitch 6 here, keep the Sleep Dart in case we need to fire something off Codex and just pass. Seems awkward. Now we actually have the Bluefin and the Yellowfin we can block with this turn. Well, it's also running 67 cards, which is a bit interesting here. All right, I guess I'm kind of happy I didn't attack into turn 1. So, interesting. So we have the choice here of actually blocking a bit early if we want to. I guess there's some risk in that. So there's two separate risks here. The first risk is that we don't actually get the opportunity to play out Codex. Second risk is that if we do block early, then they could follow up with something scary on the back end. I think we're fine discarding Golden Tip if that happens, though. So maybe we just are priced into giving them the Bluefin here. Like we kind of just have to get an arrow so that we can play the Codex out. I think this feels bad, but it kind of makes sense, especially if they're pitching 2 reds here. They only have like 1 potential follow-up, basically. And they do have the Mark of the Black Widow. So unfortunately, we do get punished here. But it's not even that bad a punish because we're going to be losing the gold tip anyways. It just means we can't block, basically. And I guess they do lose the mark. So I guess there's like trade-offs, pros and cons there. So they're going to go Razor's Edge plus click here, I imagine. Oh, they're gonna go for the Prey Spotters instead. Okay, I guess this is like kind of the same though, right? Functionally, they're reapplying the mark, and we don't get to flip this turn, which is nice. All right, we at least have a good follow-up for 8 here, though. So they're going to be able to buy back the Mark the Black Widow, but I think I'm actually like kind of okay with that. So yeah, if we don't block the dagger there, and then they send Mark the Black Widow, we still end up losing a card from hand, functionally, right? I guess there was no real. If anything, we just lost like life points, basically, to avoid the risk of us getting like kind of blown out. And then no hook here, I think, is a little bit too early. I don't imagine this bluefin's probably hitting, but still probably worth playing. All right, Saber Bloodshed, Codex Frill. So that's actually fine though, because they haven't gotten the Calicera yet. And the nice thing actually about them not running the headpieces, they don't get the free like carrying us flip later in the game, which is pretty good against us. So they are going to be sending in here for 4 plus the 2 the point, so they're functionally going to be coming in for 8 here. Which I don't think we care, given that we have Eye of Ophidia plus this. They do still have the Mark of the Black Widow in Arsenal, which they can play out after, and they are going to be drawing a random card. But I think we kind of just have to let this happen. It's actually not that good from their side, because they did have to like pitch the Codex here. And they also have to like give us the other clave, so I think it's like a fine trade of resources here. Yep, so they get to come in for 8. Pretty good. And I guess it's going to be very predicated, I guess, on what they draw off the top. So they still are holding on to that Mark of the Black Widow there. But they can't flick it, which is, I guess, kind of nice. So we could actually do like a Sunken Treasure block here. They cannot reapply a mark on us, so like it's actually kind of fine to get hit by this, assuming they don't banish like a red off the top. Which, given our deck, how many reds have we seen? We've seen 2 reds out of how many? Yeah, actually take a look at the deck list real quick. Out of 9. The chances are like super low, so it's like 7 out of 50-ish cards, right, or something like that. All right, let me go ahead and turn over our codex just so we can get a little cold gen going. I think I'm letting this hit because I don't think they can reapply the mark here. Ooh, okay, they hit off the art. So that was actually, I think, a low roll, right? So 7 out of, maybe it was like 7 out of 48 or something, but it's still like a 20. Okay, I guess they didn't get to I guess we passed a little too quick there or something. Pass. Fortunately, they didn't draw something that they could play there. All right, so now we get to pop off here. Go ahead and go for the catch of the day plus the take aim, and then Eye of Ophidia should help us fix the draws here if we can find like a relevant harpoon. 2 not relevant harpoons. There's a way to like load off take, or if like we had that take aim in Arsenal, I'd obviously be very happy to send Codex here, but I think we just have to bottom and hope here. All right, no harpoon. Unlucky. All right, let's go for the gold crack. All right, we got one more chance. One top. I'll take it, I guess. Beggars cannot be choosers. A little bit unlucky, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and pitch, I guess. We want Arsenal take game, probably. So no gold, a little bit unfortunate, but still fine. Hamstring still can be pretty annoying for them, and them actually not being able to play that card might indicate a D-React. And they don't have Tunic up, which is also quite nice. And hopefully also the hamstring is maybe a little bit irritating for them here. All right. We're like 2 cards off our real harpoons there. A little unlucky. This 6 hand is nice though. We can only really afford to give up King Crack, like 1 King Kraken, and then we have to send 13. But it's still pretty good. It's coming for 1. We know they have the Mark of the Black Widow in Arsenal. Don't really think we can afford a block here. I think we probably actually just have to let them connect with the mark here. Yeah, it's scar tissue anyway, so blocking was kind of pointless there. The interesting thing about, I guess, like their deck here is they are running Razor's Edge, which like normally there aren't a ton of ways to actually buff their stealth attacks here, unless it's like a dagger. Like most of their pumps are like dagger focused. But might actually be correct here to give the gold bait hook plus the Kraken. Stain. They obviously still have like stains and stuff. So maybe a safer line is to just let them banish the King Kraken, but then we're also giving them the go again here, which is awkward. Interesting decision. So if they pump this somehow and we block, we basically get blown out. Like pretty bad as well, because we aren't going to be able to send the Kraken here. But if we don't let them connect and they have like a follow up here, then we're also in pretty bad shape as well. Because they still have the flick available, they can like double mark the Black Widow. I think for that reason, I'm maybe talking myself into like giving some armor here. Like, what if we give like 4 armor, and if they do pump and they take a King Kraken me, that's fine. Oh, but we need a tunic counter actually, so we can't do that. I guess to me, the better play is to do something like this and pray. I feel like this go very poorly. But I guess worst case scenario, we send like Kraken for nothing. Oh, they did have the Razor's Edge, so this is I feel like a card that they normally don't play. I guess we're getting got pretty good by it here. To discard the elephant. So if we don't block there, they still deal like 7 to us. Yeah, maybe not blocking there is actually the safer line. Unlucky. We'll load the King Kraken. I think I actually am just going to give the gold bait hook for tempo here, just because like now we need to play the catch-up game. And if they're ahead, they don't really want to give us cards, right? So if we don't block that and we just take the 7 total, they pass. Hey, that's better for us. We did at least get the gold hit here. We have an effective hand. All right, hand's good at least. I'm basically just trying to punish them, like denying them the ability to like get action points off the Marionette ability. That's kind of like my main goal here. But it looks like they do have like a lot of ways to actually like punish us for trying to block on the stealth attacks. All right, fortunately for us, they're pitching a Fate plus a Scar Tissue. Maybe kind of bodes well for their hand not being super good. We have like an Dagger Pump or something here, but I don't think we can really afford to play around it. All right, so now this doesn't have like an on-hit discard. So okay, so there are two like I think the correct line here is basically just block this and then do something like this, because they can either have one of two outcomes here. They can either have like a codex that they want to play in Arsenal, in which case we're denying the black text and the Marionette go again, right? If they don't have a codex and they just have like a buff, then we're fine just taking the 3+5 or whatever it is, which again, they only have like one more Razor's Edge which they can play. I kind of like doing this. The only problem is we're giving up Tunic, which is not super relevant this turn anyways. I don't think we would go for Courtside just because it's a little bit riskier. So I think we're just going to go like this. Then Kraken our next turn and hope that we hit the Mono Codex hand. Ooh, okay. I guess we're on a shred in Arsenal. Maybe a little bit unlucky. But this still kind of is a fine outcome for us. We're taking 2 down to 7. We're going to be hitting them with the Codex of Frailty with the King Kraken. So I think we've actually established tempo here, which is nice. That being said, very easy for Marionette to get back the tempo here. The nice thing, at least about these more like attack-oriented Marionette lists, is that depriving them of the go again is a lot easier than like the dagger stuff, right? Because basically all the dagger pumps just like have innate go again on them. All right, and now let's. I think I am gonna throw the hook on this just because we want to like keep applying the pressure. Again, if they block it, then we're not going to get like many other hook activations over the course of the game. So I'm kind of fine with this. they want to break the hook and take a turn off, I'm very okay with this. Sure. So they are able to block 10 here, but they give us the full hand, and they aren't able to keep the tempo here, which is the most important part. What do they get back with the hooks there? They got Mark of the Black Widow. And so let's go ahead and ponder, I guess, first here, right? And so we'll take that King Shark. Again, we're running King Shark because Talishar marionettes are kind of a different breed than the normal standard marionette. Right, then we'll go for the mark here, which gives us, I guess, now an excuse to just block with King Kraken, right? So we'll get a flip here, but we do get to send Big Harpoon at face. I think it's pretty good. So, okay, so they're not even going to give us the clave there, which is really interesting. So now the question is, do we want to send 10 with a catch of the day? Or do we want to send the catch of the day for 12, pitching a 3-oak? Or do we want to go for the safer line of sending 10 and then arsenaling a 3-oak for next turn? I guess we should be getting perfect hand information here, right? So maybe just playing the King Shark here is actually fine. And do we want bottom this King Shark? We've seen 2 Codex of Frailties. I think we should actually maybe hold on to this, right? And then just send 10, Arsenal 3-oak, hold on to the King Shark. I think this seems reasonable. They are also, like, looking at their deck, they do seem like a lot more attack action focused, so I feel like the King Shark is probably pretty decent against them. It looks like we are going to be getting some cards here. Looks like we're getting Flick Knives plus 2 cards, maybe a D-Reactor or something here. We did get a Persuasive out of them, which is quite nice. All right, they're able to cover here, but they do only get 1 additional card left over to work with, and we're going to be hitting them with another 3-oak next turn. So all in all, not too bad. We got them to use Flick Knives and then also a D-React. Ooh, perfect hand. Unfortunately, they are sending Leave No here, which is kind of fine. We obviously don't want this to connect, but we can give like 4 here. And they can't pump this, right? Because they don't have Flick Knives or anything. So no tricks here. We get to send another 13. Probably keep an arsenal. Probably strip some cards from hand. So we're demanding at least 1 card here. And then anything else is just gravy on top. And then 13. I guess we'll arsenal Loan Shark just because it's like a pretty good digging tool if we want to try to dig towards maybe last Codex or something. Did we bottom a Codex? I think we did bottom a Codex at some point, right? Maybe I'm blending my games together though. So hitting him for 6. So let's see those last 2 cards. 2 cut from the same class, but they cannot play those because they do not have a Calicera. Which is kind of like the downside of these more like attack action oriented marionette lists is they'll like maybe they just even haven't seen a lot of their Calicera makers, but like it feels like that's like one of the benefits of running like the big headpiece, right? Is that you just get a lot of like extra ability to like roll into that other arachne that like makes the Calicera or whatever. Yeah, super interesting list though. Like maybe they also we can take like a look at their draw. Maybe they just like didn't draw their Calicera makers or something. Anything is definitely possible here. All right, so let's start with the trophy shot here. So I think we're gonna try to send this Yellowfin. All right, King Shark will suffice here. So 17 on King Shark, not bad. We'll just end up pitching the Loan Shark here, which wasn't really doing us a ton anyways. So having a yellow pitch is actually pretty good here. Notably, they did flip into Black Widow, but I think this is like the first. Is this like the first time they flipped this game? That might even be like the first time they flipped this game, which is kind of crazy. So they might have another react here or something. So I guess it's a little bit scary, but we do get the gold on hit still, so they're still going to 1. Yeah, still like I feel like the King Sharks are actually like not bad into them here. Now we can like refresh the gold with the board side and still load the red fin here. One of these days they're gonna die, just maybe not right the second. So it's interesting we don't really want to arsenal sleep dart, so we might actually just spin the quiver here. I mean, we're demanding functionally 3-ish cards. I guess they could still have like another react plus like maybe like double react or something. We'll definitely see, but it feels like they've been kind of like at least low rolling on the Chelicera generation. Am I even saying that right? Chelicera, Chelicera. Someone in the chat can correct me. So they could codex us here, which is like I guess the one thing I am slightly afraid of. But like I don't think I can afford Arsenal Sleep Dart, right? Let's go ahead and just quiver for funsies. I think it's also like kind of correct, right? One of each arrow. Give it a spin. Could still definitely have a codex here, but more likely than not, we're just going to be able to fire a big arrow here. So does Tipple help us? No, I guess it doesn't matter. We're still just like sending 7 anyways, right? Oh, they did find their closer maker. Kind of funny. So let's go for the Tipple. Oh, oops, passed a little too quick. So pop this. Tipple. The Tipple threatens an additional 1, which I guess is important here, right? We want to play the Tipple after playing the seafloor, and then we have the guaranteed draw on the hamstring. Yeah, I think that's the play, right? So we pass on this. We salvage. Make a gold off of just anything random here. Marlynn, Tipple, draw the guaranteed blue, and then we're also going to be sending 1 and 8 here, which should be really annoying from them. All right, one of these hands, they're not going to be able to block overpower, but they've done a pretty good job so far. All right, 1 time. 1 damage. All right, we got there. Cool. Let's take a look at their list. Maybe they just like didn't see a lot of their like plus surges. So they had like 2 Orb Weavers still in the deck. But that's kind of like one of the problems, I guess, with like I guess this style of build, which is running like a lot more attack actions, I think, in your normal list. Like this one's running Infect, it's running like Mark of the Black Widow. Yeah, like this list is running like a lot more attack actions. But like the one downside of like this list is that you're like Chelicera's for like 18 are basically like a lot harder to achieve. I guess they still have like the Tarantula Toxin and stuff like that, but like I feel like they don't have like that's not like their game plan, right? They're trying to do like a mix of like these like disruptive effects on top of like the like small Chelicera package basically. So it's kind of interesting. Like I think this list is a lot easier to kind of like deal with from the Marlynn side, which is kind of cool. But yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can get another one. All right, got an Oscilio here. All right, let's bring up the Uto sideboard. Definitely want the quiver though. And then I actually like debated on the Ataya because I think that's like the only. I think there are some like Cilius running Gear X. I feel like the better ones probably aren't, right? So let's just run like this. There's also like a small consideration for hamstring shot, but I feel like the harpoons and the battery, like I feel like King Shark and Battery Bolt is still like the best kind of like setup here. I thought about like toying with like a 7 or 8 harpoon setup in some matchups though, but I don't think this is the one. All right, let's go to our new overlay screen. But yeah, let me know in the YouTube comments like what you all think of the overlay stuff. I personally like it, but I know that I'm not everyone. All right, fulls are sending a Comet Storm Shock. All right, so they got some good damage on us here, but we do get to rip a Redfin at them next turn, hopefully. There is also, I love this card, by the way. This card is like one of the coolest designed cards because like even on this hand, there's basically always something you can do with this hand, right? Like if we draw a red buff, then we can just like play the red buff on a Gulfin here, which is like not great, but it's still like a fine like fail state, right? But if we hit like a blue or a yellow here, we are always sending like the Redfin, right? I guess in this case, I guess King Shark is also a funny outcome that I didn't really think of, but probably still pretty decent here. And then we can just throw the hook on this and just go to town, right? So feels pretty good here. Again, I know some Oscilios are running Gear Reacts, but blocking 14 is a little bit of a challenge, I think. And they are filtering away an instant, which means that their chances of, I guess, redrawing into like an attack action are quite high, right? So set it in for 14. Hopefully we're going to try to keep them off a Gone in a Flash here. It looks like they're having to give us a card here. I assume if they had a Gone in a Flash, though, with the Somersault, wouldn't they want to, like, block their rebuy it or something like that? Maybe they have, like, a second one or something. I guess that's also possible. I almost feel like they drew into that because like they already had like the way to bounce it back, I guess. All right, so we whiff on this, but that's fine. We get their best card basically out of their hand, and they can't combo us, which is like the most important thing. So taking on a flash is always our number one priority here. Right, sitting up on 2 gold is also quite nice, and then we also get a nice little Eye of Ophidia with some gold set up. Then it is Blink, Etchings of Arcana, and 2 unknown cards. So they shouldn't be like killing us this turn, unless they find like another Gauntlet Flash, and I guess then it gets a little bit suspect. But they still don't have like a sigil to play from our so or from graveyard or whatever. There's definitely some good things they can draw here. I'm just not fully sure what. It looks like they're gonna go for the double pain into the Comet Storm. Which again, this is just like vanilla damage against us, so we're kind of fine with this. Go ahead and just take this. We're gonna save our Enchanted Quiver for like a Mind Warp or something. But no real rush to use it yet. Alright, let's go for Gold Cracking. So looking for like Eye, maybe a Battering Bolt or something. I did say a Battering Bolt or something, so I guess we should probably just fire this off, right? 10 versus 13, does that matter? I almost want to like Arsenal to take game, keep the port side on top because it's basically just a free roll. Actually, now that I think about it, we're probably not doing the port side still, right? I think my policy is basically to always bottom port side, just because like it does eat into your like Goldfin outlet for the turn. I think I'm fine here just sending 10 because they're not even guaranteed to like have blues in hand, but they're almost always guaranteed to have instants, right? And I think we'll just load up the take game here for next turn in case we draw like a 3-oak or just need to a way to load that doesn't require gold. Let's fire that off for 10. I think 13 is also reasonable here, but like 10 should basically get the job done, right? They'd have to give us like 2 cards plus all armor. Like I feel like there's not really a strong incentive to send more. We got a Sigil of Brilliance out of them, which is really good because it means they're having to like play this out proactively, which basically means they're just like cycling this kind of. Like the strongest part of Sigil of Brilliance is like playing it out at the end of your turn, right? So you can like have like a 7-card hand on the following turn. But if you're just like playing it out here, right, then you're basically just like kind of turning it into just like a reroll basically, which we're kind of fine with. So opponent's thinking on the battering bolts here. I think they are committing cards though. Funny thing about battering bolt is I don't think it works on a Comet Storm Shock. They do have the Mind Warp though, so I guess we're correct to play around that. It looks like they're maybe just going to be sending in for this turn. For what it's worth, I guess they do get another Sigil Brilliance here. What did they block with? They blocked with the Gauntlet Flash, so I think they still have that red etchings, right? Something like that. All right, this next hand is weird. So can send a big Goldfin, obviously, but if they can draw the sauce, then we're in, I guess, a little bit of danger. I think if that's the case, we probably should just commit armor blocks here. Feels bad, but it's probably like correct. You just like pad our life total a little. Yeah, but from the looks of it here, we might just end up sending just a kind of crappy Goldfin turn. And again, drawing like an additional card here doesn't help because we don't have a guaranteed arrow, right? Yeah, this is definitely an opportunity for our opponent to potentially get back in the game here. The nice thing about Enchanted Quiver is also like we can do it on the Sigil of Aether next turn. I do think there's a way they can order it though, right? Where they can like pump this so they can like amp an additional one or something. I believe that's the case. Could be wrong though. So let's Codex of Bloodrot. Fortunately, there's also no way to flip this Goldfin face up. If we were allowed to run the Skullbone Crosswrap, this deck gets so much better. It's kind of crazy. So many fun things you can do with Crosswrap. But at least we're still sending in for some pretty decently big damage here. So if they can't kill us this turn, I think we're pretty much set. But if they do find the combo, then obviously we could be in a bit of danger. Yeah, pretty good setup here. We're sending in for 15 with another blood rot, so 2, so they go to they have 4 functionally plus armor. So me like 8 or something. You still always die at 26 against an Oscilio, whenever they kind of like deem it necessary, right? Right, they're having block with another Gauntlet Flash, which either indicates to me that they have another Gauntlet Flash in hand or like a somersault or something. Because that is a crazy block if they don't have a follow up. Right, load the take aim here. Right, back roll for next turn is pretty good. So let's near end phase destroy this when this leaves the. I think there's a trigger here, right? So we should let the trigger resolve. So this leaves the arena, then there's a separate trigger, then we respond to this trigger, right? Just so they can't do anything. I guess it's like ultimately the same though, right? Doesn't really matter too much. But I guess there's maybe like some thing they can do with like Aether Bindings there, I think still. So I think we're just gonna probably keep padding our life total a little bit here. Give them the tunic. Just so we're not like taking a ton of random arcane damage or whatever. It looks like they probably still have a decent turn here. So they might end up even blasting the Blood Rot Pox if they're able to play it again here, which I think they are, right? And so Somersault, 3 other cards in hand. Yeah, it's actually really funny that they can kind of like get rid of the Blood Rot here. But we should still have a pretty annoying turn here. Oh yeah, I guess they can like guaranteed get rid of it, right? Because they have the sigil connectivity. They still have the etchings, right? Or no, maybe they don't have etchings. I feel like this arsenal is still etchings, if I'm not mistaken, right? So we take 4 here, go down to 15. We send a battering bolt for 16, which should just like borderline kill them, if not kill them outright. I don't think they have a way to give go again here if we know that this is etchings, right? I feel like there had to have been like a better. Isn't like etchings there just like way stronger? Yeah, I'm so happy to just send in for 16 here. Yeah, Celio sometimes a hard deck to play though. Like the line is like not always obvious. It feels like I'm like 95% sure this card is etchings though. So like I feel like getting 4 on etchings with the Volzar there is still like really high value. Getting back a Sigil Brilliance as well, but maybe they couldn't afford to do it or something. I don't know. This is also assuming that this card is still etchings, which I feel like I did see at one point and then didn't see again. Maybe they also pitched it. Actually, I'm not sure. I guess what their arsenal is like 100%. Right, connecting with the battering bolt still feels pretty good though, and we still have that gold for backup, so we're not like straining to really load here. This is complicated, I guess. We can send 7 baseline. Alternatively, we can fix a blood rot, go the tips, and that. We should be sending 6, which is also like kind of whatever. Alternatively, do we have a 1 cost actually? We don't have a 1 cost yet. Worst case scenario here. Worst case scenario, I think we can send a battering bolt always, right? Let's go and crack gold. I think there's high enough upside. Right, find a blue, which I think is perfect here. So we'll find the load, do this, play out the gold tip, and it should be basically game here. For what it's worth, we should probably actually do the King Shark just so it has overpower because they're at 1 functionally. So any damage should kill them here. Like we don't need the battering bolt. But yeah, pretty clean Oscilio game, at least from our side. For some reason, I almost said Azalea. I guess we can also do the BM hook. They could always have Sigil Solace or something. Never know. No real risk in hooking, right? Right. Well, it looks like we got there. So the was Seduce Secrets. So they did. Okay, they did have no. Their arsenal was gone in a flash. Wait. Okay, maybe I like missed them pitching the etchings at one point. Oh, maybe yeah, maybe they did pitch the etching some point. Maybe I just like completely blanked on that. Alright, so their arsenal was gone in a flash, and maybe they just like did not have the gone in a flash turn. Which I guess also makes sense why they were like blocking with all the gone in a flashes, right? Yeah, okay, that actually makes sense to me. So they're also on like what is this? They're on the Rainbow Blast to Oblivion plan, which is also like really fun. But yeah, I think this deck also just gets like kind of murdered by Battering Bullet, like pretty bad, it seems like. All right, that was a pretty good one. Let's see if we can get some more. Playing against a Kassai, we always want to go second in this matchup just so that we get to be on the play. Go ahead and load up our Kassai board here. And we're at 60. I actually like cutting Murderous Rebel into Kassai, even though they do have like the cell swords and stuff, just because I don't really I like the gems more, and like it's kind of like the lowest opportunity cost card. Yeah, let's run it like this. See how it goes. We got the Krakens. Yep, all looks good to me. All right, nice opening hand. Ideally, we can maybe get away with just like block 2, block 3. Worst case scenario, blocking with Red Fin's also not terrible. But I think I'm probably committed to just like blocking 2 on the first Saber, assuming they don't pump it. All right, so they do have a pump here, so we're maybe committing to giving 5 on the first swing. Not the end of the world, though. We just want to try to hold on to the 3 oak here. Big pump. So coming in for 8 here. Okay, coming in for a lot more. We do kind of have to deny the copper, don't we? Feels kind of bad, but maybe we were actually having to give up the 3 oak here, which kind of sucks. Yeah, it could be worse, but I think like giving them free copper is always kind of not great. And like I don't want to just like give them 8 here. We could actually like give them the sea lace here, but that also probably is not correct, right? What is the punish they could have here? Maybe like I feel like there isn't really a punish here. Maybe like glint into something. I think we're just happy just trying to block out the copper generation there. Right, we have the port side here, which will refresh our gold, but we don't get to hook the battering bolt here, obviously. They might not know that though, so we can go ahead and just do it anyways. And then I'm gonna hold on to the loan shark so we can have a hook activation next turn, just in case we need it. Better to like arsenal the loan shark against a deck that like doesn't have arsenal disruption than to like play it out immediately just so you can like space out the hook activations. But yeah, you'd actually kind of be surprised how many people like don't know how gold baited hook works. It's kind of actually surprising to me. Actually, gonna shrink their name. Still, put it. It's a nice thing about having this like overlay set up is you can change it around a little bit. Maybe make it a little bit smaller so it's not like eating into the equipment there. Yeah, hopefully this battering bolt is mildly annoying for them. Right, looks like we're getting the full 10 block here, which is good. Putting them off tempo, which is important turn 1, and we're getting to set up an arsenal here, which is pretty strong. This next hand looks pretty good. We can send a red fin, pumped with the golden tip, assuming that we draw a wall off the top. I actually don't think there's a fail state in this hand, right? Because we have the 1 floating, we can pitch the golden tip, and if we draw like a red buff or something, it's fine. So the card I guess I'm most afraid of here is the Sellsword Gogan. I think the correct answer is to not play around that by like just giving up Sea Lace for no reason. So if they have it here. Not the end of the world. They might not like they can technically like swing with it, I guess. But like they're not really like getting the 3 value out of it. They're kind of just getting like 1 value out of it functionally. So like they might not even go for it here. Okay, looks like they did have the exact card I was talking about, but it's still fine here, like, right? Like the math, like, still, I'm okay with this outcome, even though it's like kind of rough, guys. This is like the one card that I did care about, but still fine here. And we care more about like saving our armor to block out gold than to like deal with cell swords. It's kind of actually funny how often you can really ignore the cell swords in this matchup. Like they can definitely be punishing once they start like adding up, and if you give like the Kassai like full tempo, then it gets a bit rough. But in this situation, it's actually equivalent value, right? Because they can't get the dynamos back because they pitched a yellow. If they did have a blue here, I guess it does kind of like blow us out though. I think in this situation it's still kind of fine. Anyways, let's go ahead and play our loan shark, crack a gold, and draw our red. So I think we still want to pump this red fin, right? Yeah, seems good. Go ahead and just an 11. Clearing the arsenal is also like pretty reasonable. So we can have it free for like another big arrow or codex or something. And again, we're just gonna ignore the sellsword. Make them figure out a way to use it at some point. Like we're gonna pretend it doesn't exist for the time. I guess we can like keep track of how much sellsword damage this actually does. But the current actual sellsword value is like 0 right now, right? I guess it's like go again. There's no value coming from the sellsword itself, I guess, as opposed to like the blood follows blade. But yeah, like I guess if we do give the sea lice there, then they just like save that for next turn, and it's like kind of the same thing, right? Like they're probably not gonna swing like they're not gonna like play it and swing the saber. I also just got panicked there because I wasn't sure if I actually made a goal this turn, but then I saw the lone shark on the battlefield, and I'm like, okay, I just played out the lone. Giving us 2 blade runners, and that's it. So let's take a peek at their hand. I'm assuming no reds, so we have a glint and a richard. Okay, seems fine. So we just won't block the first saber, at least with the card from hand. And battering bolt here is nice. It's like a little bit clunky on this hand, obviously with like the big game trophy shot, but still probably acceptable. So I think the play is they pitch the riches, obviously. They have glint, and they're still not really getting sellsword value, right? Because it's still like they can't really swing the saber in that case. I think all we have to do is just block. I guess we don't even have to block the sea lice, right? Because they're not even threatening the gold on hit, which I guess makes sense. So I think we just let this happen. Could theoretically crack a gold. No, they can't crack a gold, right? I think this just does nothing. Yeah. This is like fine from our side. So now they're still not getting. They might be swinging with sellsword, but they're not really getting sellsword value because it's the same as if they were swinging with a saber. Yeah, we'll hold on to our full grip here and just keep trying to battering bolt them away. We do need to find our codexes, but we've been drawing pretty well up until this point, so we'll find them eventually. And the question here, I feel like a lot of this depends on what we draw off the top. The blue is interesting. We could. Do I want to load right now? We could send 5 Arsenal Big Game Trophy Shot. It's not a bad play. Alternatively, we can go a little bit deeper. Because if we draw another blue, then we can play out the Lone Shark and like pop Tunic and do that. So I think we're actually going to decline this and go 1 deeper, I think, here. All right, Riches is functionally kind of like a reroll. Or not, it's not really a reroll, but it's like similar enough, I guess. So let's load the battering bolts. I guess we get to like refresh our gold gen in this case. But I think we're gonna actually just end up pitching the Lone Shark here. So Riches is like awkward there because we had the 2 floating, so we couldn't like pitch it right away. At least I don't think there's a way we could have done that. Maybe there was. But I guess we'll go ahead and try to bait them with the gold bait hook again here. Maybe they do commit to the full blocks, you never know. I guess it's always technically correct to go for the hook here, especially after making the gold so they can't like tipple or ripple away or whatever. But Trophy Shot and Arsenal's great. Looking to draw still are Krakens and or Codexes. Got a lot of good draws still. Their graveyard is also kind of funny. 3 yellow draw swords in graveyard, plus lots of like duplicates here, which is kind of funny. The one awkward thing is I guess we did turn on their balance here. We're pretty much always going to turn on their balance this game. Not really a very good way around that. It looks like they're going to give us 5 here. Their hand is assumably not any reactions. Okay, so we got draw swords, a spoil. Okay, so their hand is like crap. This is actually like a pretty bad Kassai hand. They're just like, it feels like they're really struggling to find the research. I guess it maybe gets a little bit better with balance here, but it's assuming that they do draw a pitch card off the top. I guess they can always like pitch to gold, and I guess that maybe gets a little bit. I think I'm okay with that hand as it is currently. All right, looks like they're gonna go for a little bit of gold gen here, and hoping they didn't draw the pitch card off the top would be ideal. Their hand is like 4 reds. We're definitely in business. So their hand is Unsheathed, Spoils of War, and then what's that other red card? Why am I blanking on the name of that card? It's a red draw swords, right? I think it's red draw swords, spoils, and then the unsheathed. Right, so they are going to go for the gold crack. Hopefully this is like 2 reds. Person can dream. I feel like them agonizing over the pitch here probably means it is 2 reds. All right, let's see it. Unsheathed. Assuming it's 2 reds here. I'm assuming their hand is maybe all reds. You do see the all red hand, it looks like. So they still have a spoils, and then they pitch the red draw swords, they play the unsheath. So the hand is spoils and 1 unknown red card. So in this case, I think we're just fine to take this right. I think our plan maybe next turn is to just go for like the elephant harpoon. Again, we're ignoring the sellsword. And currently our little buddy here has not really done a ton this game. So we give them the gold, which is fine. We can at least threaten one of them next turn. And again, there's no real incentive to really try to block there. Oh, they are going to go for a sellsword pitch. Interesting. I guess maybe, okay, they drew a red Blade Runner. So then that means they're, so this is like still a 0 value sellsword functionally, because they're like getting rid of a card in arsenal. I am very, very okay with this. Assuming that either they're pitching the card or they're not swinging saber, again, they're still getting free value here. And yeah, it looks like they're going to arsenal. So like still basically a 0 value sellsword. Let's go for the Marlynn. We got balance out of the way, which is at least really nice. Let's see what we draw off the top. Okay, another take aim. So in this case, that means we have to go for the Goldfin backup and then Arsenal to take aim next turn, which means we're not disrupting them next turn, but we are threatening at least their gold pile. I guess it's acceptable, but now the sellsword actually might start getting a little bit of value. Yeah, I think we need to go for this now and then try to hope to find one of our other kind of like disruptive effects. You might still end up respecting the Sculpin though. It is threatening like functionally, what is this, like the initial 2 gold on hit. So we got a 4 gold, which is pretty good. But yeah, the scariest outcome here is maybe them just like no blocking and keeping their full hand, and then we start getting our life total pressured really hard. But again, this L sword has gotten 0 value this game, and I'll stand by that statement. Mainly because of just like they're not swinging the Centauri sabers, which has been nice. All right, looks like they're just gonna take it on the chin here, or not play take it on the chin. Let's take the damage, which I think makes sense. So they have a full grip with a Centauri Cell Sword, and they can also probably activate Kassai's turn. Yeah, looking pretty scary. And then I think they have another spoils in our right. Yeah, lots of scary stuff going on from their side. That being said, we draw this hand, which is quite nice. So we might just be eating a lot of damage here. I mean, I do want to try to ideally try to block out maybe one, maybe like one swing on the spoils, but we might not even really want to do that this turn. Right, so we got the draw swords. Imagine they're probably still going to play spoils here. Yep, seems good. Pitching a red, though, is at least nice. So this is coming in for too much on the first thing, so I think we have to just end up giving them 2 copper here. But hopefully on the back half, we can maybe try to block out a little bit of it. Right, Blade Flurry also really, really good. So yeah, their hand's really solid here. They're going to be taking a lot of damage here. I'm actually kind of tempted to maybe just throw Catch of the Day just to prevent 4 copper, because that's when it starts getting like a little bit more suspect. Maybe we'll just give up like the Catch of the Day plus this, and then try to use our Tunic and Gold to kind of draw back towards our blues. I think that's reasonable. And that one off turn we took kind of hurt us pretty bad. But hopefully we can start to draw some gas here. And we at least have the Battering Bolt, which is always nice. For what it's worth, our Kassai opponent has also not seen any of their D reacts here, which makes the Ataya maybe a little bit stronger if they are running any. Alright, so we have to take in an arsenal, so let's just start cracking some gold for some resources. Alright, Catch of the Day is perfect, and then we need one more blue here. Okay, we don't find the blue. Can we salvage this, or do we want to just send 12? I think the correct answer here is send 12, right? Keep them off having a bunch of reacts in hand. This is at least the nice part about running Battering Bolt in this deck, is like if you do have to send it, it doesn't really matter if you activate the Hammerhead, right? Like we're still kind of just sending it for 12. So even we got like a little bit greedy there by having to block with our blue. But I don't think there was really a better play. Maybe we could have like guessed that we're gonna try to draw, maybe gonna draw into our King Kraken, but you know, you always like, you don't know that for sure, right? Hopefully this Battering Bolt ends up being at least mildly annoying here. If we can keep them off like a Blade for a turn, or get them like to a D-React here, I think that's gonna be really strong. So I'm still pretty happy with this. We could have actually maybe not made the Goldfin here if we also wanted to, because we might get the Ponder on hit. Maybe that is actually a better play. Assume we get the Ponder, and then if we take 2 anyways, we take 2. I guess we are getting like a little bit low, so it gets a little bit more suspect. The one unfortunate thing about this game, so we've actually been drawing like okay, but the only thing is we've been light on our codexes and we've been light on our 3 of a kinds. All right, Gork Tome plus the Precision Press here. Yeah, we actually didn't really need to activate Balloon Shark here. I guess we'll still like Ponder anyways. Still discard the Gulfin here. Yeah, I think that we could have actually ended up sitting on 1 extra gold there. Unfortunately for us, their hand is not like amazing. They just have the Precision Press, which is like kind of whatever. They already have like discounted sabers. It's like we might not end up really taking a ton here, and like the Cell Sword might just be getting 3 here if they just like pitch into it or something. You definitely like crack some gold maybe to try to draw towards something a little bit better. But they're cracking the blood on their hands. Maybe actually denying them the copper there. I think they just blocked with 2 of them, right? Or they got rid of 2 of them. So maybe they don't want to go for it on 2 copper, which I think is fair. Their hand is blue, unknown card. They can Kassai again. Assuming that we have like go again here. I assume they're gonna maybe start to get their first point of value off the Cell Sword. I think our best play here is to maybe just block 3 and then rip the Kraken at them. There is also a play where we keep the full hand tipple, go ham at them, and then we would be hoping to draw into another buff off the top, which, what is our likelihood of that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, 7. 15. We have one here, so it's 8. So it's actually pretty. It's like reasonably high, I guess. Oh, I guess this explains it. So they drew 3 blood on their hands, and maybe that's why they didn't go for it. Okay, that's fair. Huh. Interesting, interesting hand they had. I guess like triple blood on our hands. One in arsenal or something like that. Kind of funny. I guess we don't have to worry about copper generation, which is at least nice. They're going to. What is this? Is this swing an additional time? Buff weapon and attack twice. Okay, interesting. Wait, how do they have the go again on this? Your next sword or dagger. So they can't swing everything here. Did they do this right? I feel like they didn't do that correctly. But I also don't play Kassai, so I'm not 100%. Wasn't there like a. Wasn't go again like the play? Maybe not. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about. Do we care about this connecting? I think the answer is probably still no. Maybe we're just going to keep the full grip. We can actually maybe just like hedge and give them 3 block here. I think that's fine. I feel like the tipple play is like kind of high variance. It feels like we can draw like a pump off the top, and then we like probably win the game on the spot, right? But there's a lot of like weird draws we can have, and it does eat into our tunic counter as well, which is awkward. So they don't have go again on this, which is really weird. I think it's still probably correct to block though. So I guess we'll give them the Redfin Harpoon here. I think we're still just priced in descending 13. I mean, I don't think this sellsword has like done anything, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's done very little. It may got like 1 swing out of it or something. I haven't actually. I feel like I lost track. So 5 here, 8. We're getting to the point where we might not be able to hook very much this game, so I think we're actually just supposed to play it. Like, if we lose our hook here, it's not the end of the world. We're kind of buying tempo, if you think about it that way. Like, if hook is able to even threaten this pile of gold, I think it's worth going for. Like, because the number of hook activations that we're going to be getting from here on out is, like, pretty slim. It also incentivizes them to, like, full block here, as opposed to, like, just giving, like, the attack, like, if they just have, like, 1 non-attack in hand, right? But yeah, we're going to start getting a little bit greedy here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up losing it here, but unless they have like double D-react, then the way that we lose the hook is like kind of inefficient for them. Looks like we're getting a bunch of cards out of them. So 5 armor plus 2 cards from hand. This currently totals 11, unless they have some weird like block card or something. Assuming that these 2 are 3 blocks, and then they have like a D-react or something in hand. It looks like they are going to try to go for the full block. Which again, we're fine with. If we lose the hook here, it's really not that big a deal. Alright, so it looks like they're giving us 3 cards here, which is even fantastic. We get a Provoke, a Blade Flurry, and a Blade Runner to hold on to 1 unknown card in hand. But now they're not swinging anything, and then we have a ton of really good draws this game. So, or we have a lot of good draws, I guess, eventually that we can hit. This, I think, is one of them. So now we get to send like 14 here. So unfortunately still not threatening the gold pile, but we now have full tempo, which is amazing. Get to now send 14. We have Codexes coming up. We still have 2 3-oaks in the deck, so we have a lot of really good hits still left in rotation. So even if we are not making a gold here, we're dealing a lot of damage first and foremost, and then we have a lot of like really good reload draws left in the deck, I think. So we still have 2 3-oaks, 3 Codexes, which is like a really good spot to be. Not necessarily like together. Those are like drawing like a hand of like 2 3-oaks, 2 codexes is maybe not amazing, but like just having access to them is very, very good, right? All right, so we do get to refresh our gold here, which is great. Take an outland skirmish, and they're just left within Taya. So this is basically exactly why I wanted to give up the hook there, is because now we've basically just ripped full tempo, right? Their best play here is like crack gold, and maybe they can have some arsenal play and swing sellsword or something like that. Right, so spoils, but again, they've used their blood on their hands, so now I don't really care about the copper. And then having paid the resource there means that they have to give another card for the sellsword. Yeah, we're still in really good shape here, I think. So we kind of just need to not die as our kind of number one goal here. The funny thing we can also do on this hand, oh, they had a provoke. Okay, interesting. So maybe just trying to fish for something else. So what is the scariest card they can have here? Maybe like a Blade Flurry, of which they've already used 2. So Blade Flurry, 1 swing. Second swing is also kind of annoying here. We have 4-3-2 on board plus another. So unfortunately, we might just have to give them a card from hand here anyways, which stinks, but I think is fine because we do have Tunic up, so we can like take aim, load Codex of Bloodrot. We can even like triple or like double 3-oak here, which I think is really cool. So I think the play is we want to block a little bit early. We're going to let them have the Kassai activation because I don't think there's really a way to avoid that. So again, worst card they can have here, I think, is still the Blade Flurry, right? Because that's 0 for 4. Anything else, I think we're like kind of okay with. And I don't think Into the Swing kills, assuming that we end up blocking with the Sea Lace here as well. And then we don't care about the copper for blood on our hands purposes. Yeah, I think we're in good shape here. So we let this hit, and then we block on the sword, just in case we can deny the copper. Looks like they're also on like no Diriax in this build, which is really interesting. At least I don't think we haven't seen a Diriax like yet. That either means that they haven't drawn them, or they just like don't have them. All right, so we're gonna Codex the Bloodrot in the take game into Arsenal, and then we're gonna rip the 3 of a kind, and then we might end up drawing into another 3 of a kind because we still have 1 more left in the deck. I think Codex is also really good. Like there are a lot of really good draws that I think win on the spot here, right? Okay, so 3-oak is one of them. The unfortunate thing here is we cannot play out the pre-med. Yeah, I don't think we can play out the pre-med. So we do just get another kind of reroll here, but it's still kind of funny, right? So we have the Codex of Frailties. So this doesn't win, right? Because we didn't find maybe we actually maybe a better play was to not load the no, we always need to load the 3 up there. Maybe just a little bit awkward sequencing that we just like didn't find our codexes. So this still might not win. We did our best effort here. I think there was like a sequence of draws there that does definitely get there. But this might not be enough. So we're currently only coming in for 11. They have 1 here. They give us like a card, maybe 2 cards here, assuming that they don't have any Diriax. So yeah, we could still be in trouble. Like, I think we need this to connect and then also strip a card from hand for it to be like enough, I think. Assuming that we don't just like kill them outright, which I think is unlikely. So yeah, unfortunately our Codex of Frailties were quite bad this game. Like pretty subpar. I think this is actually like one of the most important cards in the matchup just because like giving Frailty on Centauri Sabers is like really high value. It's like guaranteed 2 extra value plus like the other like bullshit like Codex stuff, right? And I think we've seen most of our big harpoons as well. Maybe there's like an out that we could have done to send 13 instead if we wanted to like crack towards one of our big arrows. Given this block though, we might still be okay here. So I have 7 here from the looks of it. And they're still taking 2 from the Blood Rot, so They're like kind of dead on board, but like not really. All right, so now they're giving us 10 here. And we get to take a look at the last card, which is just unsheathed. So I think we're actually in a really good spot here. So port side, again, this is like a little bit dicey just because we had like some really awkward draws, but I think we might just get there. So they're pitched the unsheathed. Is there any way we can die just on the Centauri? I think the only way we can die is if they like have a glint and we block on this. So I think we just give the tunic here. And I don't think there's any follow-up they can have it, at least that I know of in Kassai that will punish us here. Okay, so they make another sellsword. But this is like a game where sellswords like don't even do anything. So I guess if there's anything to learn from this game, it's never respect the sellsword. The sellswords are fake. They're not real. All right, but this is really good. We're going to be sending either 13 or 15 here, depending on what we draw. Awkward. I think I actually just want to. Do I want to play the codex anyways? Probably not. Probably just send 13. We could actually pitch the codex, draw blue, and then we can send 15. I don't think it matters here, right? Even if we give them a turn, I don't think it matters because they need to keep 2 cards here. And like, I don't think that's mathematically possible if we send 13. Like, even if they have double D-React here, that only covers 8, so they'd still take 2 over. So they have to give us 3 cards here, and then maybe like the best thing to do is like crack gold into something or something like that. I don't know. I still also stand by that hook earlier for what it's worth, even though like I guess we did like lose the value on or whatever. All right, but that was basically like a textbook Kassai game. Again, never respect the sellsword hung out all game. It occasionally swung at us, but it was in the place of a like saber swing, so basically got 0 value. So like I feel like there are some situations where you do want to clear the sellswords, but like a lot of the time, just kind of like let them exist on the board and eventually like just like pressure the opponent's hand before they can really get the value out of it. I think that's like my key kind of takeaway. But yeah, that was a really good example, I guess, of like some of like the Kassai thing. Like basically, you just want to go super aggro, super face, and then just try to find like your better cards in the deck. Like the one thing I guess I misplayed this game is just like not drawing my codexes, my 3 oaks very well. But again, that kind of happens. We're playing this very RNG heavy deck, so you know. But yeah, I think that was probably a pretty good one to end it on. All right, everyone. So that was my Marlynn RTN list that I've been cooking up. Again, I've swapped back to the Codex of the Blood Rot. Every time I try to experiment with this deck, it's just like I discover something that's like tangentially worse, like mildly worse than just like another piece of deck I had. So let me center this ad real quick. Can't have that being off center. It's like a little bit better. Okay. But yeah, I think every time I like try to experiment with this deck, it's just like I find cards that are like marginally worse than other cards, and then I just kind of like swap back at some point. It feels like this core is just like so strong, and like the card pool is so shallow that it feels like a lot of the things that you're doing are side grades more than anything. Where like you can trade off like consistency for like a bigger high roll potential, or you can trade off like you can lower your consistency for like maybe just like more like arrow like density or like everything in this deck feels ultimately like it's a trade-off between like 2 of like the same kind of value things as opposed to like one thing is like definitively higher value than another thing, like that kind of thing. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Thanks for all for tuning in. If there's anything you want me to try Marlynn, let me know in the comments. And yeah, I think I'm still just like really liking this kind of like main core deck, at least that I've been testing. So appreciate y'all sticking by me while I just practice for my RTNs as well. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see y'all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.